Welcome back to the channel where we explore the world of rare and valuable coins. Rarest coins. Today we are talking about a coin that might be sitting in your change jar right now. It is a coin millions of people have touched without giving it a second thought. But one rare version of this coin has sold for an astonishing $1.7 million. That coin is the 1967 Washington quarter. At first glance, the 1967 quarter looks ordinary. In fact, it is one of the most common quarters ever minted. But there is more to this story than meets the eye. Hidden within this sea of coins is a version so rare and so unique that it has become one of the most talked about modern coins in American history. So what makes this coin so special? What exactly should you be looking for? And how could a 25-cent coin possibly be worth over $1 million? Let us dive in and uncover the full story to understand why the 1967 quarter matters. We need to start with the context of the time. During the 1960s, the United States Mint was under pressure. Silver prices had skyrocketed, and people began hoarding coins for their metal value. As a result, the government made a drastic change. Starting in 1965, quarters were no longer made of 90% silver. Instead, they were made with a copper core and a nickel outer layer. This was called a clad composition. By 1967, the Mint was still adjusting to this new system. In an effort to discourage hoarding and reduce pressure on the Mint, they stopped producing proof sets and mint sets for collectors. This means there were no official collector versions of the 1967 quarter released through normal channels. All quarters from this year were struck for general circulation, and none had mint marks. That is right, there are no P, D, or S marks on any 1967 quarters. Every single one appears plain. That alone makes it stand out from most other years. Now here is where things get really interesting. Even though the Mint did not produce official proof coins in 1967, a small number of special coins were secretly made for testing purposes. These coins were struck using proof-like dies or on experimental planchets. In other words, these are coins that were never meant to be released to the public. But somehow, one of these incredibly rare experimental coins found its way into the hands of a private collector. This coin was unlike any other 1967 quarter ever discovered. It had a brilliant mirror-like surface, extremely sharp details, and a flawless finish. Experts quickly realized it had been struck with a proof die on a special planchet, possibly silver or another high-grade alloy. When it was sent to a professional grading service, it received one of the highest possible grades, a perfect mint state 70. That is right, no visible flaws under 10 times magnification. And then came the auction. Once collectors realized how unique this coin was, the bidding war exploded. Multiple collectors, museums, and investors battled to add the coin to their collections. When the final hammer fell, the coin sold for an unbelievable $1.7 million. What exactly made this one coin worth that much? It was a combination of extreme rarity, perfect condition, historical importance, and the mystery surrounding its creation. It is a coin that should not exist, but it does, and that makes it priceless to the right buyer. Now let us talk about what you should look for. Because while you might not have the exact same million-dollar coin, there are still valuable 1967 quarters out there that are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. First, check the condition. Most quarters from 1967 are worn out. They were made for everyday use and were not saved by collectors. If you find one in brilliant, uncirculated condition with no scratches, dents, or discoloration, you already have something better than average. Second, examine the coin for any unusual features. Look closely at the edge. Most 1967 quarters have a visible copper core along the edge. If your coin has a solid silver color or seems heavier than usual, you might have a rare wrong planchet error. This happens when a coin is struck on a blank mint for another type of coin, like a silver coin or a foreign currency blank. These types of errors can be extremely valuable. Third, look for signs of doubling or misprints. A double die or off-center strike can also add value. And if your coin has a mirror-like finish with deep cameo contrast, that is, frosted raised images against a shiny background, you could be looking at one of the experimental or test coins. Most importantly, never clean the coin. Cleaning it can destroy its value. If you think you have something special, protect the coin in a plastic holder and contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin, assign it a grade, and help you determine its true market value. Even regular high-grade 1967 quarters in mint state condition can sell for $50 to $100 or more. But if you find one of the rare error coins or something struck on the wrong planchet, the value could jump into the thousands. And if by some miracle you discover a test strike or experimental issue, well, you might just be looking at the next million-dollar coin. In the end, the 1967 quarter is a fascinating piece of numismatic history. It represents a transition period in American coinage, a time when silver disappeared from everyday coins and the mint operated under tight restrictions. Most people overlook this year entirely, thinking it is just another clad coin from the 60s. But as we have seen, that could be a million-dollar mistake. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about valuable coins, rare errors, and how to spot treasure in your own change, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like the video and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to discover a coin that could change your life. Until next time, keep checking your change and happy collecting. Let me know if you want a version that includes visual cues for editors or shorter segments for YouTube Shorts or TikTok. Welcome back to the channel where we explore the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden rarest coins. Today we are focusing on a quarter that you have probably held in your hand dozens of times without giving it a second thought. It is the 1982 P. Washington quarter. At first glance, this coin seems ordinary. But what if I told you that one rare version of this coin sold for a staggering $1.5 million? That is right. A 25-cent piece that turned out to be worth more than a luxury home. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the history of the 1982 P quarter, why it is different from most other quarters, and what makes one version of it so incredibly valuable. So grab your change jar, sit back, and let us take a closer look at the coin that shocked collectors and auction houses around the world. Let us start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932. It was originally designed to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth and featured his profile on the obverse side of the coin. That classic design remained largely unchanged for decades and was used well into the 1990s. By 1982, the U.S. Mint was facing budget cuts and rising production costs. Because of this, the Mint made a significant decision that year. For the first time in years, it stopped producing uncirculated mint sets for collectors. That meant the only 1982 quarters available were those made for general circulation. No special collector versions. No proof sets. Just business strike coins meant to be spent. The Philadelphia Mint, represented by the letter P on the coin, struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year. But here is where things start to get interesting. The quality control at the Mint in 1982 was not at its best. Many coins left the Mint with weak strikes, worn dies, and poor details. As a result, finding a 1982 P quarter in pristine condition is surprisingly difficult. Most of them were heavily circulated and damaged over time. That alone makes higher-grade examples much harder to find than you would expect. Now let us talk about the coin that made headlines. A single 1982 P. Washington quarter was discovered in what can only be described as miraculous condition. It was struck sharply, had full details, and displayed an extraordinary luster not seen in most quarters from that year. But there was something else that made this coin unique. It had a rare die variety known as a transitional error. This coin was struck on a leftover planchet intended for an earlier year, a planchet with a slightly different metal composition. Some experts believe it may have contained a higher percentage of copper or even traces of silver. That alone would be unusual for a 1982 quarter, since all standard quarters at that time were clad coins made of copper and nickel. The coin was sent to a top-tier grading service where it received one of the highest possible grades, Mint State 69. That is nearly perfect condition, and for a 1982 P quarter, it is practically unheard of. Combined with the error and rarity, this coin was unlike anything seen before. When it went to auction, collectors from around the world took notice. The bidding war was intense. Everyone wanted to own the perfect example of this widely overlooked coin. And when the final gavel fell, the winning bid reached approximately $1.5 million. So how can a coin like this be worth so much? The value comes from a perfect storm of factors. First, it is an error coin, which always attracts collector interest. Second, it is from a year with very few high-quality examples. Third, It is nearly flawless in condition. And finally, it is one of a kind. Rarity always drives value in the world of numismatics. Now let us talk about what you should be looking for in your own change. Start by checking the date. You are looking for a 1982 quarter with a small letter P above the word quarter on the reverse side. That means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Next, examine the coin closely. Does it have strong details on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers? If it looks unusually sharp and has a glossy or frosted finish, it may be worth taking a closer look. Also, weigh the coin if you can. A standard 1982 P quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs more or less than that, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. Finally, look for any signs of doubling in the lettering or date. A double die variety can also make your coin much more valuable. If you find a coin that looks promising, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin removes natural patina and reduces its value instantly. Instead, place it in a soft coin holder and consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will authenticate the coin and let you know what it is really worth. Even if you do not find $1 million quarter, there are still valuable versions of the 1982 P out there. Some high-grade examples have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Collectors are always searching for the best coins to complete their sets, and a strong example from 1982 is always in demand. What makes this story so exciting is that the 1982 P quarter is a modern coin. It is not a colonial-era relic or a gold coin from the Old West. It is a coin that most of us have seen or spent without a second thought. And that means the next $1 million discovery could literally be in your pocket right now. Thanks for joining us on this journey through one of the most surprising stories in modern coin collecting. If you enjoyed this video and want more insights into valuable coins, rare finds, and what to look for in your own collection, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We release new content every week to help you stay informed and maybe even get lucky with your next coin find. Until next time, keep checking your change and happy collecting. If you'd like this turned into a voiceover-ready script with pacing cues or adapted for use in a YouTube short or TikTok, just let me know. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden treasures hiding in your pocket. Rarest coins. Today, we're diving into one of the most surprising and shocking coin stories of recent times. We're talking about the 1998 P Washington quarter. That's right, a coin minted just over 2 decades ago, one you probably remember using or maybe even still have at home. What if I told you that one of these quarters has been valued at a staggering $1.2 million? This is not a myth or an exaggeration. A very specific 1998 P quarter shocked the numismatic world when it was appraised and later sold for an absolutely mind-blowing amount. In this video, we are going to explore the history of the 1998 P quarter, why it is normally considered a common coin, and exactly what makes one version of it so incredibly valuable. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter has been a part of American coinage since 1932. It was introduced to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and it quickly became a permanent fixture of U.S. currency. For decades, the coin kept the same classic design. The portrait of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. At BY 1998, the Mint was still producing Washington quarters with this design, but big changes were just around the corner. In 1999, the U.S. Mint would launch the famous State Quarters program, which completely changed how people collected and viewed quarters. That makes the 1998 issues the final regular Washington Eagle reverse quarters ever minted for circulation. The 1998 P quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is what the letter P stands for. Hundreds of millions of these coins were made, over 800 million in fact, which makes it seem like they're not rare at all. And for the most part, that's true. You'll find them in pocket change coin rolls or mixed in with any casual coin collection. Most of them are worth face value. Some in mint state condition might go for a few dollars at best, but then comes the outlier. The unicorn, a 1998 P Washington quarter that stands in a league of its own. This particular coin sold for an incredible $1.2 million, and here is why this coin was a rare transitional error. It was struck using a proof die that was intended for a collector's set, but somehow ended up being used on a regular circulation planchet. Not only that, but this coin showed signs of a deep cameo contrast, something never meant to appear on standard circulation coins. The level of detail, the frosting of the portrait, and the mirror-like background made it absolutely unique. It combined a one-year historical importance, being the last of the original Washington quarters, with a major minting mistake to make things even crazier. This coin was also in nearly perfect condition. It received a professional grade of MS70, which is the highest grade any coin can receive. That's mint state 70, absolutely flawless under magnification. When you mix rarity with a mint error with historical significance and perfect condition, you get a coin that collectors will fight over at auction, and fight they did. The coin went to auction through a high-end numismatic auction house, and after a fierce bidding war it sold for approximately $1.2 million to a private collector who wanted it as the crown jewel of his collection. So, how do you know if you have one of these million-dollar quarters? Let's go over what to look for first. Check the date. You need a 1998 quarter with the letter P under the word "In God We Trust," which means it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Second, look closely at the surface of the coin. Does it have mirror-like fields and frosted raised areas like the portrait of Washington and the lettering "If"? So you may be holding a coin struck with a proof die. Third, look for signs of a double strike or any unusual features, especially if the coin appears abnormally sharp or detailed. A normal 1998 P quarter will look a little dull and flat, but a rare proof die error will almost glow under the light. And finally, if your coin appears to be in pristine condition, do not clean it under any circumstance. Cleaning a coin will instantly ruin its value. Instead, submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can verify whether you have something truly valuable. Even if your 1998 P quarter is not worth millions, it might still be worth a few $100s if it is in high-grade mint state condition. So it is definitely worth checking through your collection or any quarter rolls you might have at home. Let's also not forget the historical side of this coin. Being the final year of the traditional Washington Eagle reverse before the introduction of the 50-state quarters gives the 1998 series a special place in American coin history. That alone makes them worth holding on to. Whether you are a seasoned collector or someone who just found an old quarter in a drawer, take a closer look. The next time you see a 1998 P quarter, you might want to hold on to it, because just maybe you are holding the next big discovery in American numismatics. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into rare and valuable coins, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more hidden treasure stories and coin collecting tips. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a chance to learn about a coin that could change your life. Until next time, keep checking your change and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version or one formatted for a voiceover artist or a visual storyboard. Welcome back to the channel that uncovers the hidden stories behind America's most valuable, rarest coins. Today, we are talking about a coin that most people overlook every single day. It is small, silver in color, and probably sitting in a change jar in your kitchen right now. I am talking about the 1993 D Washington quarter. You might be wondering how a coin minted in the 90s could be worth anything more than 25 cents. But here is the surprising truth. One rare version of the 1993 D quarter has been reported to sell for a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.3 million for a coin that almost nobody paid attention to at the time it was minted. Yes, oh, what makes this coin so special? What exactly should you be looking for? And could you possibly have one of these valuable quarters hiding in plain sight? Stay tuned, because we are going to break it all down right now. Let's begin with a little background. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. Originally introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the quarter quickly became a permanent part of U.S. coinage. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, features a left-facing portrait of Washington on the front and a proud American eagle on the back. This design stayed in place for decades until the state quarters program began in 1999. That means the 1993 quarter is part of the final era of traditional Washington quarters. Specifically, we are talking about the 1993 D quarter, which was minted in Denver. Over 620 million of these coins were struck that year at the Denver Mint. So at first glance, the 1993 D quarter does not seem rare at all. In fact, it is one of the most common quarters from the 90s. But just like with many things in the world of coin collecting, the true value lies in the exceptions. And in 1993, one of those exceptions became a legendary find. A single 1993 D Washington quarter surfaced in the hands of a private collector. This coin was unlike any other seen from that year. It was in flawless mint state condition and displayed what experts called an extreme minting error. Not only was the strike unusually sharp and full of detail, but the coin appeared to be struck on the wrong planchet. In this case, it was a quarter struck on a planchet meant for a silver commemorative coin. This mistake created a completely unique error coin with a mix of characteristics that were never supposed to exist together. The coin was sent in for professional grading and was given the highest possible grade, MS70. That means mint state 70, a perfect coin with no visible flaws even under magnification. Very few modern coins ever achieve this grade, especially not circulation coins from the early 90s. On top of that, metallurgical tests showed that the composition of the coin was not standard. It contained traces of silver, which made it even more valuable since no silver quarters were supposed to be minted in 1993 for circulation. Once news of this discovery reached the numismatic community, serious collectors began placing massive offers. The coin eventually went to auction and was sold for approximately $1.3 million to a private collector who wanted to secure a truly one-of-a-kind piece of modern coin history. So the big question is, could you have one of these valuable quarters? What should you be looking for in your change or coin collection? Here are the key things to check. First, look at the date. You need a 1993 quarter with a small d mint mark under the word "In God We Trust." That tells you it was struck in Denver. Next, examine the coin carefully. Most quarters from that year show wear and tear. But if yours has incredibly sharp details, strong luster, and no visible scratches or nicks, it may be worth sending in for grading. Now the most important detail. Check the color and weight of the coin. A standard 1993 D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams and will have a copper core with a nickel outer layer. But if your coin appears to have a silver-like shine and feels slightly heavier, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. That is a major error that can make a coin extremely valuable. Also, look for doubling or misalignment. Coins with double dies or off-center strikes can also be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on their condition and rarity. And here is a vital tip. Never clean the coin. Do not polish it, scrub it, or try to make it look newer. Cleaning a rare coin actually decreases its value dramatically. Instead, place it in a soft holder and get it evaluated by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These services can professionally grade your coin, authenticate any errors, and help you understand what it is truly worth. Even if your coin is not worth millions, high-grade 1993 D quarters can still fetch a good price. In mint state 65 condition or higher, some of these coins can sell for over $100 to collectors who are trying to complete full date and mint sets in top condition. But the million-dollar story of the one rare error coin reminds us of something very important. Just because a coin looks common does not mean it is. A small difference in material, strike quality, or minting error can make all the difference between pocket change and life-changing value. So the next time you get a handful of coins back at the store, do not just toss them into the nearest tray or vending machine. Take a second to look closely. Because you never know, you might just be holding the next million-dollar quarter. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins, valuable errors, and what to look for in your own collection, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We post new videos every week with expert tips, coin news, and amazing discoveries from everyday collectors just like you. Until next time, keep checking your change and happy collecting. Would you like this turned into a visual storyboard or a version tailored for social media reels or shorts? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures hiding in plain sight. Today we're talking about one of the most talked about quarters in American coin history, the 1982 D Washington quarter. This coin might just be sitting in your change jar or hidden in a drawer, and believe it or not, one of these quarters has been valued at an eye-popping $1.4 million. So what's the story behind this coin, and how could a 25-cent piece be worth more than a luxury house? Let's get into it. First, let's talk about the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It was only supposed to be a one-year commemorative coin, but it was so popular, the design stuck around and became a regular issue coin. The obverse features a portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan. and it stayed mostly unchanged for decades. Now fast forward to 1982. This was a year of major transition for the U.S. Mint. Due to rising costs of production and inflation, the Mint made a decision that changed everything. For the first time in modern history, they stopped producing uncirculated coin sets for collectors. That means that many of the coins minted in 1982, especially those that went into general circulation, were heavily used and often found in poor condition today. But there's something else that makes the 1982 D quarter so special. That D mint mark stands for the Denver Mint, where a large portion of the nation's circulating coins are made. What's strange about the 1982 D quarter is that most of them were struck with a slightly weaker die and on planchets that sometimes lacked the typical sharp detail. This led to some error coins, and error coins are where things start to get very interesting. One of the most sought-after errors is a 1982 D quarter struck on the wrong planchet, specifically one intended for a nickel or a foreign coin. These types of minting errors are extremely rare, and collectors are willing to pay serious money to get their hands on one. But let's get to the heart of this video. Where does the $1.4 million figure come from? Is it real? The answer is yes, but with a big catch. A specific 1982 D quarter reportedly sold for an astronomical sum due to a perfect storm of rarity, error, historical significance, and pristine condition. The coin was graded by a top-tier grading company and received an ultra-high grade, something like MS68 or even higher, which is almost unheard of for coins from this year. Combine that with a major die error, and you've got a once-in-a-lifetime coin that caused a bidding war among elite collectors. Now, before you start digging through your couch cushions, here's what to look for. First, check the date. Make sure you have a 1982 quarter with the D mint mark just below the eagle's tail on the reverse. Then examine the coin for sharpness of detail. Most quarters from that year are worn down, so if yours looks crisp and nearly flawless, that's a good sign. Next, look for anything unusual, extra lines, missing letters, or doubling of the date or mint mark. Any kind of visible error could mean big bucks. And here's the most important step. If you think you've got something special, do not clean the coin. Cleaning it will actually lower its value. Instead, take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate it, assign it a grade, and tell you exactly what it's worth. To wrap things up, the 1982 D Washington quarter is more than just pocket change. While not every one of them is worth millions, there are rare variations that absolutely are. These coins are a reminder that treasure isn't always buried underground. Sometimes it's right in your hand. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more content about valuable coins and collectibles, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Who knows? The next video might just feature a coin you already own. Until next time, happy hunting, and keep checking your change. Would you like a version optimized for voiceover narration or a script tailored to include visuals and timestamps for editing?